Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Dre. You like that tune? Yeah, get into it, man.
It's been great.
Download
I heard
the
Panama.
album.
I heard Panama 3 times on Tuesday night in the last 10 minutes. It was great.
So, okay, this is the final Instigating with Clarkey and Dre for the year of 2025. Okay, we'll be back. I believe our first show back in the new year will be airing on January 9th, if I'm correct there, across
Perfect.
Rogers TV and, of course, here on YouTube, all your favorite podcast apps. Thanks for another great year. Our audience grew, which is fantastic. We're happy with our partnership here with Rogers TV. It's great stuff. I want to say a couple things to you quickly here because we got to dig into Holy Mackinaw Night and
Holy Mackinaw!
Amazing stuff celebrating Bonesy, and they almost blew it. They were pretty bad, and they managed to pull it out. I don't love that they're using Panama, and the only reason I don't like that they're using that is because the Little Cyclones used that as their goal song when they won.
They stole it from the Cyclones?
Well, I don't know about steal, but they're down the road, and the Little Cyclones won the Sutherland Cup in 2023.
Or maybe it's a sign,
Panama.
buddy. Maybe it's a sign.
I think it's a sign that somebody maybe saw it from afar and went, boy, that really good Junior B team won a championship with Panama. Maybe we need that type of energy. No, I know. I just don't like it because
you know what?
I hear that
song. I love the song.
All-time party tune. Like,
it's not a song. Like the Rangers song is great. Like it's just like, like people
but that's
get
a
into
thing
it
that they
and
made
do
for
the
the Rangers, though.
Okay, well that's fine. Then you know what? Then let's get music AI to make a song for the Leafs.
Don't say that to me, dude. Don't make me mad at the last episode. This AI crap. Support real music. Get a real artist to do it. Get Bieber to do it or something. He sort of did. He made that music video.
Needs to be catchy. It needs to be something that people chant along with and get into it. And, so the Leafs could score 8 seconds after they get a goal.
Well, it'd be nice if
they did that.
They did that. Yeah, what a luxury that was. Because hold on here.
Let's talk about
the positives. Let's talk about the positives first.
It's all positive, of course. Buddy. They won.
Hold on. Let's talk about Bonesy because he was on the show last week. Legend. We love Bonesy. Incredible night for him and his family. You were down there. I know you took a bunch of pictures, Clarkey. Let's throw some stuff up here.
There it is. Yeah. That's before the game, the ceremony. Man. I love how they project images on the ice.
It's so cool that
it is very cool. And it was a very touching ceremony before the game. I want to thank, I'm not going to say who it was, someone with the organization who hooked me up with some seats. I thank him for the bottom of my heart for getting me some tickets for the game. Mm-hmm. He's in this picture, but you're not sure which guy it is, so I'm not going to say. Anyway, it was a great ceremony, and the thing that stuck with me the most, Ryan, is the announcement next year and beyond of Bowen's booth. I think that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, if you missed it, the Maple Leafs organization is going to christen the radio booth up in the Foster Hewitt gondola, named, of course, after Bonesy's great hero. They're going to rename the radio booth where he has been sitting for years and years, Bowen's booth, which is, it's really, really
Foster Hewitt Memorial
gondola, media gondola.
Bowen's media gondola, but Bowen's booth will be up there, which is a great idea.
Super and deserved, fully deserved.
44 years. Yeah, I would say it's deserved for sure.
Deserved. And the stuff they did for him was amazing too,
Yep. And then during the game, I got over to the Leafs alumni box. I was invited into the alumni box and saw some old friends, being the old captain, first guy to score 50 goals in the game, should have his number retired, should be recognized for his 50 goals. Rick Vive. My friend and yours, friend of the show. He's going to come on again soon. I talked to him. He'll be on in the new year.
Always
living down in Niagara region now. A couple other guys who I saw. McSwendel was there. Had a little chat with Wendell. He's doing well. Yeah,
He looks great, eh? Wendell looks fantastic.
Yeah, he looks really good.
He looks great.
So Wendell was there. Dave McElwain, who now lives here in Grand Bend.
Yes.
Mac was there, and Mac and Ian Doig are good friends. So I had a chance to talk with Mac about Ian for a little while.
That's great.
When they were growing up, they both grew up in Seaforth, that they had a bet on who would turn pro first. And McElwain turned pro in hockey just before Doig turned pro in golf.
He didn't beat him by very much.
He did win. He did win. And then after the game, so enjoyed the game. After the game, there was a little get together down at Real Sports and saw some old friends. I saw my first boss, Alan Davis. He's been on the show now with
amazing
WTR
guy
in Buffalo. Didn't get pictures of everyone. I wish I had.
We got to get him back on.
I need to take pictures with people, and I kick myself afterwards. But Alan Davis was there. Chatted with Alan for a good 15 minutes. Harry Neal was there. I said, Harry, how are you doing? You know, and Harry's response was, compared to what?
Yeah.
I said, how you doing, Harry? And he goes, compared to what? So he still has his wit. He was there, and it was nice to see Harry. Had a little chat with Jim Ralph. Ralphie was there. He told me about David Bowen's call and told me about what he said to him about, you got to say Holy Mackinaw if they score again, which he did.
That was crazy.
Holy Mackinaw. So Ralphie told me that story. Had a chance to talk to him. Had a chance to talk to Mike Ross. Mike Ross has been on the show, the voice of the Leafs. The PA announcer for the Leafs. And then the guy who I love, and I go way back with this guy to 1980, probably 1988, 89. Jimmy Holmstrom at the organ. So Jimmy and I, he has not missed a game. Jimmy has not missed a game in over 30 years. He has not missed a game. He's the guy behind the organ, playing the music, playing that goal horn. I was his first producer, sat up beside him, and there was a goal. I would say goal, and he would hit the horn. And then they started paying someone to do it and didn't pick me, but that's okay. I just loved, Ryan, going down to Maple Leaf Gardens, because that's where it was when I first started working with Jimmy, and just getting into a game. I got to get into a game and watch it for free and sit up in the media gondola right beside Jimmy, with the NHL officials beside us, which was kind of interesting at times. But there's Jimmy Holmstrom, doing well, still going at it, and it was nice to see Jimmy. But of course, the man of the hour, there he is. Me and Joe, after the game in Real Sports, had a real good chat with Joe. Spent a few minutes with myself and my daughter Amanda and Dan, who were down at the game as well. And I said to Amanda, "Do you want a picture with Joe?" And Amanda, who reached out to Joe, if she had met Joe, it was a long time ago. But Amanda's like, "Yeah, I get a picture with Joe." So Amanda is tall. And
she's pretty tall, yeah.
She stood beside, I think she must have heels on, but she stood beside Joe, and Joe's like, "Whoa, you're tall." And she put his arm around her, and he goes, No, put your hand right on my head. So that's it. That's Amanda's hand on Joe's head at Real Sports after the game. So again, just a great night. You know what? I miss it. I miss that scene. I really miss that scene. All those guys. Mike Zeisberg, I talked to. Zeiss is going to come on the show.
Zeiss, one of the best.
Zeiss will be on the show. He was very good. We had Zeiss and I go way back as well. I
know you do.
I knew him at the Fan. I knew him at Leafs TV. He used to come in on a reporter's show all the time on Leafs TV. So Mike Zeisberger, Toronto Sun, he'll be on the show. David Alter, David's Hockey News, he's going to be on the show. I spoke to Alter today. He's in Wash tonight. So I don't know if he's posted his media meal rating for Washington yet tonight, but if you don't know David Alter with the Hockey News, follow him on Instagram and on
Alter's a legend too. And you know what's really funny about that, randomly, like aside from this, having not known that you saw him there, like we literally just became connections on LinkedIn. Randomly, which is I don't know what kind of currency that even has anymore, LinkedIn, but David Alter, I mean,
one business world for sure. Yeah. So David and I go back. He used to be a producer at Junior Hockey Magazine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
with Gino Redis. So
Dave and
I go way back, and he does this media meal rankings. And I talked to him about it. The Leafs are like 10th or 12th or something. And he was doing Washington tonight, but he.
I think Wash should be pretty
TikTok.
high up.
He's
there.
big on TikTok with his.
I know he is
with his media meal reviews, and they're quite fun to watch. So David Alter will be on soon as well. Lined up a bunch of guests. We're going to get to them in the new year. Gord Stellick as well. I didn't see Gord down there. I was talking to him a little bit today. But Gordy will be on, and we'll have some great guests coming up in the new year. As the Olympics will be upon us. The push to the Stanley Cup playoffs will be on us, and let's see if the Leafs make it or not. There's a lot of unhappy people down there. There was I didn't partake in the booing, but there was some booing. And
some booing.
I don't blame my fans. I don't blame the fans beside me for booing, but yeah, it was awful at times, but they won the game. They got the 2 points. Let's get out of here and be thankful.
Well, let's talk about that, because obviously what a magical night for our buddy Bonesy. I mean, we could spend the whole hour just talking about him again. Legendary guy, one of my favorites of all time. The poetic nature of David getting set up with you could tell he didn't want to do it. And like Ralphie, I listened to it live. And because I know David a little bit, my color guy, Mark Perry, and him go way back and are very tight. And they do road Sudbury Wolves games together quite often on the radio. Mark is usually riding shotgun with Bonesy when he's not in Guelph with me. And so I was happy to hear David on there. And you could tell he didn't want to do it right. And he's like, oh, I'll save that for my dad after Matthews. And you couldn't have timed it better. The clip's everywhere.
I've heard the clip. Yeah, I've heard the clip.
And Ralphie goes, well, I hope you get one more chance to maybe say it. And Joshua scores.
Boom,
and
right away.
He let it rip. And I was like, friggin' right, Bones. Like it's his dad's thing. It'll be the only time he ever says it on the air. I promise you that.
Maybe.
We'll see. You
gotta live on. It could live on.
You forge your own thing. David.
If it was Chris Clark or Ryan Drury, no, it would never happen. It's a Bowen. And to me, it can live on with a Bowen. That's my opinion.
I'm fine with it. I just know David's the type of guy to go, I'm gonna forge my own path.
Maybe.
And I think Holy Mackinaw will be a thing that he leaves with his father, and David will come up with his own. So he's a talented kid. He'll come up with his own thing. Anyway,
Joe said aside, he owes me $25 after the game.
See, now you don't copyrighted.
You owe me $25. He said
you don't want to have to start shaving earnings off the top for dad, right? So, no, I thought it was great, and I was watching Steve Dangle's show earlier today. Them talking about the game and the experience and Bonesy and all of it, and how it strikes me just how angry Leaf fans are after a win. Like it says a lot about the state of the team and how people feel about this group after a win like that, where I feel like 90% of the fan base, or at least people I'm interacting with and that I'm watching online, are wholly unhappy with a win occurring. And again, speaks to the state of things right now. And like, man, people were going off on the team, including their head coach, who again, I don't agree with it, but I think his days are clearly numbered, because again, the old adage, it's easier to fire a coach than 23 players. It's sad that was the effort that they put forward for 51 minutes in front of Bonesy. And I know Steve and them were highlighting the fact that Brad Treliving came down to the dressing room.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah.
And had the Holy Mackinaw shirt on, was like, and was like, this is a special night for Joe. And Steve Dangle, who we're of course going to have on in the new year too.
Yep.
As we usually do. He's like, that was a subtle way of him going, you better effing win this game. And thank God they did. But the effort that they put forward, and you mentioned hearing the booing, Clarkey, when I was texting you and you were in the seats, the goal that got waved off that would have made it 2-0, it eventually was 2-0 on that short-handed goal. You could hear a pin drop. I could hear every conversation that the players were having on the benches, on the ice. I could hear.
Was it a good call? It's hard to get a gauge on it when you're at the game. They show one replay on the screen. The when they overturned.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant Bonesy's calls.
No. Was that a good call? Was there a goal?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You can't. If Jason Dickinson, I believe who it was, made nothing but contact with the puck with the toe of his blade, that would be different. But he fully pushes the top of the pad.
It didn't
and nothing
explain
but
why
the pad.
we were looking at it or anything.
Oh, it was very obvious on television.
Okay.
He if you watch the replay, his stick, they had a great angle looking dead on to Wool, who played great. He was the only guy that actually played well.
Yep.
He pushes the pad totally with his stick, which you're not allowed to do. It was completely the right call. Absolutely. But it didn't matter because then Chicago scored shorthanded on an all-time William Nylander effort on the power play. But then it ended up getting erased because Oliver Ekman-Larsson scores a seeing eye shot. Austin Matthews on the power play after having touched the puck for 11 seconds total through 40 minutes. Yeah, did the "can you hear me now" Sally. And which I didn't have a problem with. People were nitpicking. That's the thing with Leaf fans. Like, people are so angry at the team that like people were nitpicking on that. I love the Selly, a little emotion. Imagine that, a little emotion from the captain.
Yeah.
How about that? So I didn't have a problem with the Selly or anything like that. And then 8 seconds later, Joshua scores. They managed to hold on and win, largely due to the effort of Joseph Woll, who it was good to see back in there. One of the most putrid efforts, soulless, as Steve Dangle likes to say, no blood in the body efforts through 50 minutes. Miraculous they managed to come back and win against the Connor Bedardless Chicago Blackhawks. But through 50 minutes of that game, yeah, I could understand why the fans were booing because, Clarkey, you were right there. You were in there.
I was.
Wow. What a non-effort by the Leafs for 50 minutes.
Terrible.
And Craig Berube was blowing up.
And as he should have been, Ryan, as he should have been. And like the turnover at the blue line by Willie Nylander to lead to that shorthanded goal. Like, Willie Nylander's don't give a crap meter is off the charts right now. Like, are these guys
they hate their coach.
Push? Well, I think so. I think that's what it is.
They hate their coach.
But something has to give. Like,
and unfortunately,
either they're going to be told
Berube. It's not something. It's Craig Berube. It's and I know, Clarkey. William Nylander and Austin Matthews have no move clauses. John Tavares doesn't have.
No, I don't mean that though. I mean
they're not going to move him.
I mean like Treliving going down and saying to these guys,
what's that matter?
These guys
he did that before the game.
Well, I mean one-on-one.
He did it.
I mean pulling them into his office.
One-on-one. These guys don't care about that.
I'm just saying something's got to give. And something
it will
has
be
to
Berube
happen.
Because Clarkey,
that's
Clarkey.
not the answer, but it's probably the only thing they can do.
That's what I'm saying, and that's the reality of modern day sports.
But having said that, we knew this year wouldn't be like last year. We said, you know what, there might be a little step back in the regular season, but they need to prepare themselves for the playoffs, and that's the only reason I think they're not going to fire Berube, because I agree they got to get there. I got to get there. But
I don't know, dude.
Pete DeBoer is obviously the guy that is waiting in the wings.
I sit there
How much different is he going to be?
Well, not much, was touched upon on this show recently. But what I'm saying, that's what I mean, though. And look,
it's tough. It's tough. I tell you, it's tough.
It depends what kind of temperament Brad Treliving has, because he respects Craig Berube a lot. He loves Craig Berube and should, for the work that he did with that St. Louis Blues squad. And I think it will depend on this. How badly does Brad Treliving want to send a message to these star players? William Nylander's been under the ticker in particular, him and Berube going back and forth all the time. Matthews in there too, with all these stats coming out about how slow he is now. His shot's not as hard, blah, 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 blah. Not a point per game player.
So is that all this Craig Berube's fault?
Well, that's the easiest brush to paint with, isn't it? And so,
or is he hurt?
Largely,
should he be sitting out, but doesn't want to sit out? I had a buddy say this to me at work today. This guy wants to play right now. He's playing easy. He's playing soft because he wants to play in the Olympics. He doesn't want to get hurt. And then after that, he's going to go on the IR, which is crazy to think. And if that happens, like this is our captain.
I don't think that it's as diabolical a situation as laid out there by your buddy in Austin Matthews' head. Because to me, I can't get myself there, because this is how he has always played.
Oh, he's like, he hasn't always skated this slow. He hasn't always shot the puck.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Largely, when the moment rather matters most, that's what this guy and his cohorts do. They don't, and look, Bonesy said it last week on the show, don't tell me these guys quit and don't try, I'll spit in your face. And I understand that from Bonesy. I don't think, I've said this to you before on the show, Clarkey, I don't think these guys quit. Like, just outright go, I don't want to do this. No. They don't quit, but they are the most unwilling group of assembled star players I've maybe ever seen, that are completely unwilling to change and rise to the moment and do the hard things when things that come easy to them become difficult. Playoffs, when guys show up and get in their face and take their skating lanes away. You can't just walk in and create 2-on-1s anymore and dipsy doodle and, do the old Pat Quinn swisheroo and all that stuff. The loop-de-loops. You can't do that in the playoffs. And when stuff like that gets taken away from them and opposing team, because you can get through an Ottawa doing it. Not that Ottawa didn't play hard last year. You can get through Columbus on a Tuesday night. That old adage. I hate to bag on Columbus. You can do that.
Always do.
You can do that. Well, it used to be Arizona, but they're gone now. You can do that. But eventually the problem is these guys run into star players on the other side in the playoffs, eventually, in the second round usually, that are willing to do that hard stuff, and they don't do it. So that's what I mean. Yeah, he never used to be this slow.
Hey, we heard about DNA
shot. Well,
that's what it's all about,
right?
And I there's no doubt in my mind, Ryan. I have, and I shouldn't say this because you're going to radio me here, but I've pretty much given up on this group.
I'm not going to radio you. I understand.
And the problem is, God, we're a long way from fixing this. Like, that's the problem. Like, that is the problem. You can't trade anybody because you gave everyone a no trade. We're going to talk about Luke Hughes getting traded. Well, there was a reason he got traded.
Quinn Hughes. Unless something happened and I'm not aware of it. Quinn Hughes, yep.
Quinn Hughes getting traded. You know why he was traded? Because he could be.
Yes.
I hated hearing people talking about
when he wanted
Leafs could have done this with Marner. The Leafs could have. No, it's a totally different situation.
Well, they could have that year before his full no move kicked in.
Yes, they could have, but that's when Kyle Dubas was still here, and Kyle Dubas wouldn't do it, so they fired him. Or wanted to do it,
remember, it was actually when Brad Treliving took over, but it was like 3 weeks before.
From what we all heard, Dubas was going to trade him. And Shanahan said, no, you're not. You're out of here.
Yes. And then they fired him and hired Brad Treliving 3 weeks before Marner's
but there's no way that the first thing he's going to do is fire him. And with Shanahan firing Dubas, there's no way that Brad Treliving was going to be allowed to.
But that's what fans are referring to. That window where Marner could have been moved. Yes.
Sure.
Now, Quinn Hughes wanted to be traded, and we're going to dig into that a little later.
And maybe William Nylander wants to be traded. Maybe Austin Matthews wants to be traded. If either of those guys want to be traded, then let's trade them.
Oh, wow. Really? So, okay.
Well, you're going to hopefully get a good haul back, but let's trade them.
Well, yeah.
If they go to Treliving, if Treliving goes to them, and that's what I'm saying.
That's the level you've reached.
If Brad Treliving goes to Austin Matthews and says, Captain, we need to talk. Okay, go into the room. Craig Berube's not going anywhere. You got to play for this guy for the rest of the year, and we'll see what happens after that. Austin Matthews says, I don't want to play for this guy anymore. Okay, will you waive your no trade? Okay, I'll give you a 10-team no trade list. Okay, or a trade list. Something might give here. Something might give.
So that's the level you're at. Like, you would be willing to say goodbye to either of those guys.
The problem is, the last time Brad Treliving made a big deal, he traded Matthew Tkachuk for Jonathan Huberdeau. Yeah.
Well, and to be fair, Jonathan Huberdeau was coming off like 115 point season.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
But
I know what you mean.
So my trust in him even is a little leery.
This would be different, though, because that deal was where Tkachuk was on an expiring contract. Nylander and Matthews both have term. Nylander,
no doubt.
double what.
And there's going to be teams lining up for these guys if they put them on the market. But
well, there'd only be a few teams that would pony up 13.25 for Matthews to squeeze that under the cap. Nylander may be a little more palatable. I bet you Vancouver would do it.
I see teams like the Rangers. I see some teams out there who'd be willing to do stuff and trade a star for them. Right?
The Rangers are an interesting one, given that Artemi Panarin is a free agent. He's like 34. Mm-hmm. And his dad has history. Well, no, you wouldn't want Panarin back, but his dad played there. He has a bit of history at MSG for sure. That's an interesting one. I mean, you'd be looking at some hefty stuff coming back the other way. Like,
you would hope so.
Gabe Perreault. You'd be looking at maybe even Alexis Lafreniere. Yeah, that'd be a guy that I would think that he'd be part of a package. I would think he'd be, because
Benedette just missed a meeting and was suspended.
Listen, well, that was because of a car accident. But listen, Lafreniere, like, would you rather have Lafreniere or Nick Robertson in this lineup right now?
Lafreniere, probably.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. If that,
I get it. Anyway,
you want him as part of the.
Let's just see. Like, something has to give here.
Well, listen, I'll say this to you, Clarkey.
This team is not together either. They're not together as a team. Like, that's.
I'm surprised to hear you at this level with Matthews, because it was not very long ago that I was getting told by everybody up and down that he's going to break Ovi's record, and this guy's, you
always make it about you, don't you, Donald?
No, I'm not making it about. Don't call me that. Come on now. Let's have some class here on this show. Listen. I want to address something because a big Leaf fan friend of mine the other day was asking me about what I think about Matthews and all this. And I told him basically what I said just recently, that I think he's an incredibly talented player, but he's unwilling to do the hard stuff. And again, this friend of mine said, well, what about Ovi though? What about your guy? And again, I can't do this narrative anymore. And this leads into a bigger point I want to make. That guy always tried and scored in the playoffs and laid hits. The most physical superstar player of all time. I don't think that's arguable.
No.
The most physical superstar player of all time.
I said no argument. You have to repeat it.
He floats down the ice.
Well, he does float at times, but he also is tough.
Yeah, but he does all that hard
stuff. Get it. I'm not saying he doesn't.
He rises to the moment. He rises to the moment.
He has.
And this is the difference here. Listen, there's been this narrative that's been loud and getting louder about this market. It crushes guys, and Brad Marchand. Boy, they're so hard on those guys up in Toronto. Man, are they hard. Listen, Clarkey, I know you don't care about this, but this is a good point to make. While it's also inarguable that Ovi's probably the most physical superstar ever, it's also inarguable. I think you'd agree with this. There has never, people are talking about, oh man, boy, are they hard on Nylander, and man, they're mean to Matthews.
They are? Who's
there? There has never, the media, the fans, everybody, we're mean to Mitch. Yeah. We're mean to this guy. We were mean to Jake Gardner.
Well,
everybody, we're mean.
Dakota
Joshua. So much pressure.
Dakota Joshua has the same amount of goals as Mitch Marner does. But go ahead.
It's so much pressure, though. So much pressure.
Yeah.
Listen, I acknowledge that it is more difficult, I guess, to play in Toronto compared to Nashville or something.
Okay.
Sure. Listen, Matt, because people are always saying Matthews and Ovi, and don't you think that they're. There has never, ever, ever, ever in the history of this sport, this league, maybe North American sports outside of Yankees and Dallas Cowboys, there has never in the history of the National Hockey League been a superstar that has been crapped on more in the media and vilified by some than Alexander Ovechkin. If Austin Matthews, and I don't think he does sit there and think this, but if there are people out there, because I'm going to take you down memory lane, brother.
I've heard this there, 50 times on
you. You have. If there are people out there that go, boy, there are mean articles written about Austin Matthews and this, that, and the other, I want you to turn back time like 10 years to when maybe even a little longer, when Ovi was about the same age and had a disappointing 32-goal season. There was an article in our friend David Alter's magazine, The Hockey News. There was an article that said, should the Capitals buy out Ovechkin and let him go home to Russia? That was a talking point on ESPN, believe it or not, SportsCenter, Sportsnet, everywhere. NHL Tonight, NHL Network. There has never been a guy more crapped on by the media, and I've got the receipts. I've got them. People going, this guy doesn't care. He's a Russian hype machine. He's got a huge ego. He doesn't care about his teammates. He just wants 50 goals. He doesn't want to try. He should go back to Russia. There has never been an article written about Austin Matthews near as vitriolic and sickening in terms of calling out someone's character than Ovechkin. You're talking to me about people being mean and pressure and all this. There were people in this game that are still working in media telling the greatest goal scorer of all time to go home at 28 years old. So don't talk to me about, oh boy, that was league wide, by the way. The Capitals, they should let Ovechkin go to Russia. There's no articles online going, boy, they should buy out Austin Matthews and send him to the Arizona Penal League and he can play there. Xenophobia to its finest. If those articles wouldn't have been written if Ovi's home address was Nowhereville, Saskatchewan. It's because he was Russian, and they jumped on that, and everybody crapped on this guy, and then tried to celebrate him when he won. And then everyone realized, oh, what a special guy we have here. So to the people out there that are saying to me, well, it's hard. And I have friends who are Leaf fans that are like, well, they are really hard on them, blah, blah. Hard on them? Hard on them.
If they think booing is hard on them, they
literally
poor Mitch was like, poor Mitch had to get security guards at his house.
People going, this guy doesn't belong in this league. He needs to go home to Russia. I'm sorry. No, I can't do it.
Then don't do
this
it.
This guy's an incredible talent.
Stop with your tirade.
That's what I'm saying.
We get it.
That's kind of what I'm trying to tell you, Brooksy. Rest in peace, Brooksy. That's what I'm trying to say here. People need to that are on this wagon, get off. Get off. You think people are hard on this guy? Excuse me.
Okay, let's start talking about Quinn Hughes here. Where's our guest? We got a guest coming on?
Yes, Greg Balloch's going to join us very soon here from Sportsnet 650 InGoal Magazine, and we're going to talk about a bunch of things. He's in the Vancouver market, and Greg's going to jump on here in a few minutes. That was some wild stuff. I mean, one of the biggest trades in my lifetime. I mean, we're talking about a guy that was literally a generational talent. So we're going to get Greg's expert analysis on the temperature in the city of Vancouver right now. This, Clarkey. My best friends live there. They just had a little boy. And yes, Lee David Krellin, shout out to my nephew. He's not really my nephew, but I'm the Funkle, right? I'm the Funkle. They're out there, and they're not huge sports fans, but they go to Canucks games, and I've been to numerous ones with them. And even they were like, boy, people are pissed off around here, man. Like, people are really mad about Hughes. I'm like, well, yeah, they should be. And I genuinely wonder, like, you see something like that happen, Clarkey, and I don't know what you thought of it, but my first thought was, I don't know how they're going to rebound from this within like 5-10 years. This could be a franchise altering, doomsday clock that just started ticking. And it might be a long time before we see Vancouver.
I keep hearing these guys they got back was a pretty good haul. And
look, I like these players. I mean,
like,
let's not joke around here. Minnesota won the deal, right?
Well, they got the best player. There's no doubt about it. But they can also, like, Vancouver. This could be a turning. Vancouver hasn't exactly been on fire with Quinn Hughes in their lineup. Like, let's be honest.
Well, they are when he's on the ice. Like his
but he
stats.
can't play a whole game. So you trade him and you get 3 guys and a draft pick. I don't know. I think it was, from what I read,
decent haul. I thought
both teams. Both teams.
I thought they would have got more. And I'm surprised the team didn't pony up more.
Well, let's.
It's Quinn Hughes.
It's Quinn, not Luke.
Yeah, it's Quinn Hughes. That's the other thing too. Like,
that is the other thing.
Like, well, he won't.
Are we going to see these brothers playing together? I don't know.
Listen, man, there are a lot of brothers in the NHL. They were kind of talking about that on Overdrive. Like, there actually is a surprising amount of brothers in the league. This whole thing of, oh, geez, we gotta play with my brother, and I gotta play with my brother. Yeah. I don't
know.
It's an amazing thing if it could happen, but like, if you're trying to pigeonhole it and force it together, it might not be the best thing necessarily, right? Like, I don't know, just this whole notion of, well, this guy, he'll for sure go and play at home because he's from this place, or, he's got to go play with his brother. What about, like, what happened to conversations of just like, that guy wants to go there because he thinks it's the best place for him to win?
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily saying that wouldn't be the case in New Jersey, who are really doing a great job of once again stubbing their toes. I got told by everybody, boy, New Jersey's a lock to win the division this year. I said, excuse me. I don't know. There's another team that's pretty good in that division that I don't think is just going to let you have it. Huh? So I don't know, man. It was a strange one. And when Greg jumps on here, there's another one that we got to talk about too, with your Edmonton Oilers, Clarkey.
Mine.
Yeah.
That was the worst goalie trade ever. Like, talk about great big trades with Quinn Hughes.
Really?
That was 2 goalies ever. Yes. That was the 2 most mediocre goalies getting traded for each other that I've ever seen in my life. Both of these guys are the same goalie. It doesn't matter. No one won this trade. They both lost it.
Well, I would maybe argue.
What?
I would maybe argue that Edmonton lost it a little more than Pittsburgh, because I think Pittsburgh's
is crazy.
Well, yeah, but because Pittsburgh got out of the money that Jari is owed over the next 2 years, $5.25 million.
When the trade first started surfacing, it was like Pittsburgh's retaining 50%. And I'm like, oh, okay.
No, they're not.
They didn't retain a cent.
No.
I don't know. It's crazy.
They got a second round pick.
Edmonton. I don't understand Edmonton wanting Tristan Jarry. This guy was on waivers. He was on waivers
last year.
Yeah.
He was on waivers. He was so bad. I think, if memory serves, which it doesn't, I'm getting old.
Yeah.
I think when he got sent down and put on waivers, he had an .883 save percentage.
Yeah.
Now, has he played much better this year? Yes, he has. Yes, I understand that.
I loved when they played head to head. It was 6-4. Like, I was thinking it was going to be 9-8, but it was 6-4, which is pretty typical. Like, that's what it should be.
And Leon Draisaitl, 1,000 points. Yeah, and it was a little weird that Skinner was in goal for that and whatever.
You know what else is stupid? And like, come on, don't wear your mask with the other team's logo on it. Put tape on it, spray paint it, do something.
I don't think they had the
Can I go to Home Hardware and just grab some spray paint? Like, come on.
I don't think these guys wanted to do that.
Well, they should have a backup plain one. Every goalie.
You know what? Do you know why they didn't do that? Do you know why they didn't do that,
No,
Clarkey? Because quite typically, like, they auction these off, right? So like they didn't.
That's why you put tape on it. Just tape it.
Yeah.
Just tape it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too heavy. Oh,
I don't care.
Is really heavy. Anyway.
I don't care about the helmets and all that. It's strange stuff. Now listen, everybody. As promised,
can we just? Okay. I just wanted to
as
say
promised.
One thing before
please say one thing before we bring.
It's kind of a downer, but I just wanted to. I heard of a plane crash today, and it was in the sporting world, and the Biffle.
Oh my God! Yeah, the Biffles.
I was a big NASCAR fan, not anymore. But
so was I. My dad.
Tragic accident. Plane
Awful
crash.
Stuff.
So condolences to the Biffle family, Greg Biffle and family.
100%
in the plane crash. Anyway,
yeah, really terrible stuff in the NASCAR world. We got to get our buddy Eric Thompson on in the new year, but
Eric
as promised,
don't get his name right.
Eric Thomas. Sorry, Eric Thompson is my coworker.
He's never gonna get up. Come on now,
ET. I'm sorry, brother. Listen, as promised, our friend from Sportsnet 650, InGoal Magazine, professional goalie scout. This guy's a goalie expert. It's good we have him on to talk about this, ladies and gentlemen. Craig Balloch. Greg, I want to just dive in here. Can you please tell me what the temperature is like in Vancouver right now?
It's hard to say because for the longest time this season, it's been apathy, right? As long as the Canucks have been sort of out of the chase for the last, I would say, month, people have stopped caring. And it's that's the worst thing you can probably get for a professional sports franchise is when the fan base starts to tune out. And I feel like it's, everyone saw it coming. And they finally reached the breaking point where the empty promises have been unfulfilled for so long that they've stopped believing in the team and they've stopped caring. And that's kind of where it was. Obviously, it's picked up now after the trade, and people got take central after the Quinn Hughes trade. But leading up to it, it was a whole lot of apathy.
Greg, can you explain to me how we've got here in the span of less than 2 years, where a couple years ago, this team rattles off an incredible regular season. Pettersson's flying, JT Miller's flying, Quinn Hughes is the captain, Demko's healthy, division win, take Edmonton to the brink in the playoffs. And then we all saw what happened last year, and now we're here. How the hell did we get here?
I don't know. Like, honestly, it's I think when it happened at the time when the Canucks went on that run, everyone sort of had their doubts about, whether that was consistent or they're going to be able to continue doing stuff like that. They were doubtful, even though it was a great run. I think people were sort of realistic about it. And when you looked at the underlying numbers, the Canucks probably shouldn't have been there, even though they had a couple guys with some really good seasons that year. But it all sort of shifted after that, right? We all know what happened with JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. And I think there's just been such a vibe shift since that whole rift happened. And it tore the team apart. Like, honestly, it created a split in the room, and they just haven't been able to recover ever since. So it's depressing because clearly they were a team that had some talent, and with the right mix, it feels like they could have done something potentially, but now it's all out the window. Right now that Quinn Hughes is gone, that window is firmly shut.
Tell us what you think of the trade. Tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Did they get fleeced? I don't know. Everything I hear, I haven't seen the guys you got back. Everything I hear, Vancouver did pretty good.
Yeah, I think people are kind of taking the approach of, when you trade Quinn Hughes, you're never going to be on the winning side of the deal because he's once in a generation, but once in a long time player that the Canucks have certainly never had in their franchise history. You're never going to win a deal when you're losing a player like that who's still relatively young. He was their captain. It's tough to come away with a good feeling after a trade like that. But from everything I've heard from the experts and the people that know a lot about the players that the Canucks received in the deal, they did quite well. Like, it was probably the best package that they could have gotten for a year and a half rental of Quinn Hughes. And they've got a guy in William who maybe won't be a Quinn Hughes per se, but he's going to get pretty close. Like, his ceiling seems like it's going to be pretty darn close to what Quinn Hughes has been doing with the Vancouver Canucks. So I think fans are decently, they're accepting the deal as it is, because they did get some nice pieces back, but it still leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you lose a guy like that.
What do you think the timing was right to make this deal? Like, do you think the most they could have hauled back was now?
I think so. I think that's kind of the way Rutherford operates, right? We've seen him in the past. He's a strike while the iron's hot kind of guy, and I think he did. Yeah, I don't think you could have done much better, even if they held on to him towards the deadline. Like, maybe you could have finagled an extra draft pick out of somebody and got a similar deal. But I think the timing of it was what the team needed if they wanted to move on quickly from this whole scenario. I think once they heard from Quinn Hughes that he probably wasn't re-signing, which sounds like around American Thanksgiving, he kind of gave the team the heads up that not interested in coming back to this. So they got the ball rolling right away. And I think that's the approach you need to have when it's something like that. Tough situation, a situation you never want to be in as a team. But if those are the chips that are on the table, I think Rutherford, absolutely did the right thing. Get him out of there. He doesn't want to be there. His body language showed it. He was very frustrated. Why let it linger for months and months when you can just move on right away? I think that was the right move.
I feel that for whatever reason, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I just think back at the history of the Canucks and the trades that they have or haven't made. And Mike Gillis and Corey Schneider and Roberto Luongo keep coming to mind, and how that just got strung out so long. Yeah. That's why I think this trade today, I agree with you, Greg. Ryan, earlier in the show, thinks that maybe Vancouver could have done better. Ryan, didn't you say that?
I'm surprised it wasn't a 6 or 7 piece deal, but given that, the context you lay out there, Greg, I do think that it was a thing where they had to get him out of the room as quickly as possible. And I mean, let's not joke around here. Like, the 3 guys that they got were all first round draft picks. Marco Rossi, I saw a lot of him in the OHL back in the day, like, really solid player. Probably his ceiling would be a number 2. Good player. Liam Ogren, a guy that still is a bit of a question mark, but scored the other day. Good size. Zeev Boyum could his ceiling's for sure number 1 defenseman. Will he be as good as Quinn Hughes? Impossible pressure to put on the kid. Little more size to him. Very good skater. And the first round pick, they did well given the context. I guess I'm surprised more at other NHL clubs that didn't pony up more, but given the context, crazy stuff, and just, sad for Vancouver. I love that market. It's such a fun city when the Canucks are rocking. And I just have a feeling that people are not very happy with Mr. Aquilini right now. People are not a fan. Like, before we talk about another big trade that recently happened, Greg, that I know you have some insight on, what is kind of the general mood toward ownership out there in Vancouver?
I don't think the casuals care all that much, but the people that are hardcore into the team don't seem to like it very much, because, like I mentioned earlier, like there's been a lot of empty promises over the years. And I think thinking that they could constantly retool this roster has been the downfall of the team. And all signs point to the reason that they have been so reluctant to rebuild has been ownership. So if it's true, if that's the case, then yeah, I think the fans have every right to be, peeved at the ownership group, because it's been very clear for a long time that this team has had issues, and they've had, issues that only a stripped down rebuild can solve. Right. And the Canucks have never really had in their history, a top 5 draft pick. I forget what the highest they've picked is, but they don't do well in the draft lottery. So to actually do it right and get somebody like Bedard, get somebody like Celebrini, somebody that's going to be a legit superstar, it's something they've never had. They've had to scratch and claw kind of to get the players they've had over the years. So fans are kind of clamoring for it. And it's a Canadian, hockey market. So the fans understand if the team is pitiful for a couple of years, like it's what happened. It's the cycle of teams. That's just how it works these days. So I don't get why they've been so reluctant, but yeah, if it is because of ownership and they've been thinking that they can just quickly retool on the fly all the time, then yeah, it's I don't blame most of the fans for being a little ticked off, because it's just prolonged everything. You either end up in the mushy middle or where they are now at the bottom of the standings. You never really reach the peak, and it feels like the way to do that is through a rebuild. So yeah, I don't understand why it's taken so long to get to this point.
Yeah, it's a strange one for sure. And speaking of strange, 5 minutes before you came on here, Greg, Mr. Clark over there called this the worst goalie for goalie swap
most
he's ever
mediocre
seen. Yeah. I would like your opinion on this, the blockbuster before the blockbuster. Jari and Sam Poulin, of course, for Stuart Skinner, Brett Kulak, and a second-round pick. You're a goalie guy, Greg. InGoal Magazine. Follow Greg on social media. InGoal. It's great stuff. When you saw this, your thoughts were?
Bit of a lateral move for both clubs.
Exactly.
I feel like it's sort of a shuffling of the chairs on the deck of the Titanic sort of deal. It's
who got better here, Greg? Like, who got better?
I think ultimately Edmonton did get better. I'm a bit of a Jari defender. I do think he's a better goaltender than his numbers do suggest. He's just streaky as hell. You just look at his numbers. He has one good year, one awful year, one good year, one awful year. So if you catch him on, lightning in a bottle in the right time, I feel like he could give you that goaltending that you need to go far. I don't think Skinner's got it. I don't think he's the guy. And we've seen the last couple of years, the Oilers have kind of been winning despite him. He's not really the guy carrying them through the final or to the final. And
at least he got to the final. I hear you.
Got to the final,
I hear you, but
just not because of Skinner, right? He was out of the net for partially of that run. So I think it's
I like your lateral move.
Clear flaws, and moving side to side is one of them. And the Penguins seem to be a kind of team that gives up a bit of offense off the rush. So I don't know if he's going to mix well with what they have going on in Pittsburgh right now. So if you're asking me which team ended up better in this deal, I think Edmonton probably ended up on the better side of things, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really move the needle all that much, even if even if things work out.
Like imagine Connor McDavid, they're taking a very friendly deal and seeing this as the goalie who's going to take you to the promised land. I don't know.
What's hilarious to me is the fact that they fired their goalie coach, Dustin Schwartz, in the offseason.
Yeah.
And who does Tristan Jarry work every year within the offseason? Dustin Schwartz. They bring in a guy who's a disciple of
funny.
The goalie coach who they just canned because they didn't like their goaltending. So it just feels like nobody knows what they're doing, and they're just making moves to make moves.
Change. Yeah, exactly.
See, now I wasn't even aware of that. That's why we have Greg on here.
That's right.
When we want to talk about goalies, that's why we turn to Greg, because I didn't even know that's a whole other wrinkle to the story.
If any of the three Leaf goalies can stay healthy, all three of those guys are better than either of those two guys.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But they can't stay healthy. That's the problem.
Can't stay healthy.
That's a Demko problem too. So it's a consistent problem with a few goalies.
Demko,
And who knows what's going on with Stolarz? We still don't know. We have no idea.
They're not going to
big
tell
goalies,
us
man. Once you get over 6'4", 6'5", it's hard on your body. Being a goalie is taxing.
Up,
to those
down,
guys.
lateral, the VH.
The hips and the legs. It's every time you go to butterfly, it's about 3 times your body weight pressure on your hips. So when you weigh 250, 260 pounds, it adds up over time.
Yeah.
This is the goalie expert.
Thankfully, I'm short. Thankfully, I'm an old short goalie. Well, 5'5".
Yeah, and I saw you play live not long ago, Clarkey, and you were really good.
And who was the first star? First star.
You were the first star of that game. It was there were a lot of old guys out there. I'll say that, but you were first star.
Stand-up goalies can always hold it over butterfly goalies. They still can walk at the end of the day. Their hips still work.
Marty Brodeur's wheeling around no problem out there. There's something to be said for that. I mean, the weird thing is Skinner goes to the final twice with them, and I really feel like, given that they gave up a second-round pick, a pretty useful player in Brett Kulak, and take on more money, the only way that Jari wins here is if he wins the Stanley Cup. That's the only way that this move that anyone will look back on it and go, that made lots of sense. Yeah. And Greg, like you said, he could get hot. Look, There have been goalies that have not exactly been what we describe as superstars. Antti Niemi be damned. Give him his respect. He won a cup. You know, you can do it. Like, it wouldn't shock me if this team did it. But yeah, strange maneuver. As we look quickly here, Greg, before we let you go, Canada's goalie situation, it's been talked about a lot over the last number of years. We got a goaltending we need to have a summit or something. Now, all of a sudden, you kind of look, and these young goalies that are coming up for the World Juniors look really good. And we've got some really nice candidates for the Olympic team, too. What's your overall assessment right now of our national goaltending situation?
I like the group that they have for this World Junior team for sure. I think it's the best crop we've had in a little while, and I do think that the Canadian goalie thing is a little overblown. I think Canada produces goaltenders at a pretty decent clip still, even though people give them a lot of flack for it. So I think the group that they have for this camp though that they're in right now is quite awesome. I think a guy I see a lot, obviously Josh Ravensbergen is in there. But it's likely going to be Carter George, who we saw in that preliminary game, who's going to get the bulk of the load. And then you got the Jack Kavankovic wild card as well, who's an excellent goaltender in his own right. So Carter George, I love. I think he's I said in his draft year that if you plunked him into the NHL right now, he would probably be a top 10 puck handler out of all the goaltenders. He is so amazing with the puck. And it's not just his ability to maneuver with it. It's what he does with it and how he's constantly, if you watch a game with him, he's constantly springing his team down ice. Anytime the puck gets dumped down to his end, he is sending it down ice immediately. And it must be so nice for those defenders to have that back there. You know, their job must be so easy with him there. But obviously that's just one factor, and you need to be able to stop the puck as well. And you know, I think Carter George is good at that as well. He's not super flashy. You know, he's not going to be a guy who's rolling around there and ended up on the back of his head flipping around. But he'll be in position a lot, and like I said, he's a pretty low key kind of guy. He keeps the game calm. He keeps everyone around him a little bit calmer than you would with some of the other, like Ravensberg is probably the most opposite you'd find. And stylistically, in terms of the goalies that Canada has, he's super tall and lanky and will stretch out and will be doing the splits and doing all that stuff. You're not usually going to see that from Carter George a lot unless he's caught out of position or something. But yeah, the big thing for me with George is just I love watching him play the puck. That's the biggest key.
Who emerges is the Olympic goalie for Canada?
Ah, man, that's a good question. I think Thompson has to be in the mix. Peter DeBoer to be damned. I think they have to consider him. You know, there's obviously the rift between those guys that they're going to have to work out because he is head and shoulders the best Canadian goaltender statistically this season. You got to give him the respect that he deserves, and I feel like he's earned it. And I feel it's tricky because Hockey Canada loves their guys so much, right? They like going back to guys that have played for them in the past, and so it makes me a little reluctant to say, oh yeah, they're going to bring 3 different goalies than they had at the Four Nations, because that's not really Hockey Canada's way, right? They usually bring, so part of me thinks if Aiden Hill's healthy, they might consider still bringing him in. Binnington, I think, has played himself out of the job. I think with those numbers, you know, he's arguably been the worst goaltender in the NHL this year. And I don't see how you can make a case to bring him into the picture, even though he was decent at the Four Nations. You know, he did win the tournament with them. So I hope they don't go that route with Binnington, but I think Thompson is the way to go. I'd love to see Blackwood get in the mix. I think Mackenzie Blackwood would be a fantastic secondary option for this Team Canada roster. So they have options, and people bring it up as it's doom and gloom, and it's, you know, Canadian goalies are terrible, we need a summit. But they'll be fine. I think the story is a little overblown, and if you bring in a guy like Thompson and who's having a fantastic season, I don't doubt that play will continue over to the Olympics.
Absolutely.
But who knows? That dimensions of the new rinks might throw them for a loop. You know, the 3 shorter feet, it might totally.
You never know. The angles.
We'll see.
The angles. Well, great thoughts as always. You can follow Greg at Greg Balloch, just like his name says right there on Twitter, for more extensive goaltending thoughts. You're the best, buddy. Thanks so much for doing this, eh?
Hey, thanks for having me on anytime.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Balloch, follow him on Twitter. Well, Clarkey, that about does it, buddy.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas, buddy.
Merry Christmas.
I can't wait for 2026. I got to tell you.
We'll see you soon. Yeah, it's going to be good. Maybe the Leafs will turn it around. You can find this on YouTube, all your favorite podcast apps, Rogers TV. We appreciate and love you all for watching this year. We will be back in 2026 with more instigating.